Welcome back to Your Palm Beach Guide, the official podcast of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, where we bring you conversations with the leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs shaping Palm Beach and beyond. I'm your host, Kiana Rivera, Chief Advancement Officer for the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and today I'm excited to welcome Dr. Tom Rose, founder and CEO of Capacity Outsourced Operations. Dr. Rose is a former healthcare executive, entrepreneur, and operations strategist with more than 3 decades of experience helping businesses improve profitability, streamline operations, and scale sustainably. Through his work as a fractional COO and business advisor, he helps founders and leadership teams move beyond the day-to-day challenges of running a business and focus on long-term growth and performance. Today, we'll discuss what separates successful businesses from struggling ones, how leaders can avoid getting trapped in the weeds, the role of artificial intelligence in modern operations, and the strategies companies can implement today to drive growth and profitability. Tom, welcome to Your Palm Beach Guide. Well, Tom, welcome to Your Palm Beach Guide.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I am so excited just to learn more about your journey and how you came to the chamber. And we were just talking about the importance of Dr. Tom and your dentistry work. So can you start there and just tell us a little bit about your journey and your life?
Yes. Well, I've kind of been an entrepreneur my whole life. I started, mowing yards in high school, and then I worked in a picture frame shop and, helping to make picture frames in high school. The guy quit, closed down his shop, and so I bought all his equipment and opened a little frame shop with my dad's office. He had a building next door that we renovated, and he rented to me. And so I owned a frame shop in high school. And then I decided I wanted to have a little more freedom, which is one of the things we help people find now. And I went into dentistry and did that for 10 years and had trouble with my hand. I practiced in Mississippi and Colorado, in Colorado Springs. And so it was great. But then after I had trouble with my hands, I got involved with a lot of different things like helped with federally qualified health centers, mostly Christian federally qualified health centers across the country. Started with a little free clinic down at what used to be First Baptist West Palm.
Okay.
And I took a pay cut to go there, and it was all volunteer. I was the only paid person there for the first year and a half. And it's one of the most enjoyable places I've ever had to work because everybody was volunteer. So nobody was being paid less or more than anybody else. Most all the services were free or very low cost. You pay $40 for eyeglass frames, but it was there was like no area for conflict, and we had enough different, like we had Haitian, Creole, and Hispanic, and all different. And Hispanic, there were Cubans or there were different. So there's a lot of variability there too. So there were so many people volunteering that were from different backgrounds that there wasn't enough of any one ethnicity to cause, cliques to develop. So it was just a very congenial and very friendly atmosphere. It was a lot of fun.
And did you you said you started your businesses in Mississippi and Colorado, right? So, and then you relocated to West Palm. How long have you been in West Palm and Palm Beach?
Oh, I've been all over.
Everywhere.
I
Okay.
came to West Palm answering an ad in USA Today.
Oh my goodness.
And was a medical hair transplant consultant for a little while. And that was great. Actually, it wasn't great. I didn't do that for very long, but coming here was great. And so I did that for a little while, and I did pharmaceutical sales and things. And when I got involved with the health center stuff, I wound up getting recruited to Chicago to work with one that we grew from a very small practice to the third largest Christian federally qualified health center in the country. Very highly regulated, more highly regulated than a hospital, federal audits and all kind of things as routine. And so I did that for a while, and then in Detroit, managed a pediatric dental residency program. We owned the dental practice that managed the pediatric dental residency program for Children's Hospital of Michigan. So working with little inner city kids, about half of them special needs, and so it's been some meaningful work along the way.
Wow.
We had a lot of kids on a backlog, waiting 2 years for their procedures to be done in the hospital. So we built a surgery center from scratch and just figured it out. Yeah. So there's been a lot of creative solutions along the way.
I love that. Well, and you're really changing people's lives. So that's incredible. That's a part of your mission and your journey. So that's great to hear. When we talk about your company, so Capacity Outsourced Operations, that's what you're currently doing right now. What brought you to launch that?
Well, I think it's part of a natural progression as you get. I'm not quite as young as I used to be, but I've picked up a lot along the way. And so, a person's career should and does go through stages. You're learning, and then go through your highly productive phase, and then you're learning all along the way, and then at some point you convert to teaching and equipping others,
Mm.
and that's kind of where I am now. And I've always been. It seems like any kind of conflict that would come up, whether it was I was in a group one time where I went to this health center in Chicago, and it was my first time being in that particular type environment, and there was some conflict at the beginning, and because I came in and was just, this is the way we need to do it. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. And establishing business principles just right across the bat, and that was such a shock to the culture that had been there, which was needed some change, but you're not going to change it all at once. So I said, well, how am I going to win these people back over? Because I bought a house, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
you're
there.
stuck.
I'm not going
Yeah,
back.
you're committed.
And so I decided I would just help people. And if it was a computer issue or whatever it was, if I saw somebody that needed help, I'd go and help them. And I found the best way to establish a relationship.
So, when you're leading these businesses, what would you say is the biggest takeaway for your leadership style that you have?
Um, we go to solutions. I mean,
Mm.
we really there's a we look at profit. I want to as in helping people along the way.
Right.
What I help people do now is take home more money and have less founder involvement and build a business so that they could sell it tomorrow if they wanted to, but they won't want to because
Right.
it's been so much fun that it's now fun to work, and they can take a vacation and not worry about the phone ringing all the time. Um,
So, you're
Profit.
really helping
Mhm.
people kind of build those processes to allow freedom, because so many people get burnt out, especially if you're a founder, you're going, going, going. And then all of a sudden you step in and you're able to provide some sort of solutions to allow them to have that freedom if they wanted it.
Right. It's systems, but it's also, the profit.
Right.
Profit, we say, is a domino that knocks down all the other dominoes. So if you've got enough profit in the business, now you can afford to hire somebody to help you put in
Mm.
some of those systems, and we can provide the direction for that so they're effective and they're appropriate and they're done in the right order. But we also work on what we call, or just on compounding.
Mm.
And people are familiar with the way that compounding works when you're looking at, um, a CD or
Right.
a investment vehicle, but the practice investment vehicle too. So, or the business. So, if you pick an area, let's say you've got $1 million a year business, and we look at our market dominating position. What is it that sets us apart from someone else? Why would somebody be crazy to go somewhere else? And maybe that's not very effective.
Mm.
So your lead conversion, is not fantastic. If we can improve that by 3%, okay, it's not a lot. I'm a pretty lousy coach if all I can do is 3%. And so we have 12 primary profit drivers that we work on. Let's take that one. If I do 3%, now you're at 1,030,000, right?
Right.
1,030,000.
Right.
So now when you have accomplished that, now let's work on cross-selling or upselling or a compelling offer, whatever the case may be. If you just whatever you decide to work on next, you're doing a 3% increase. It's not 3% of a million anymore. It's
Mm.
3% of 1,030,000.
Right.
So you find if you can make a 3% difference across the board in your business, then you can more than double your profits. And
Yeah.
so now you're taking home more money, you have more time to spend with your family, and it's just
Yeah.
better.
Well, and so as a coach, at what point do you help a business owner realize that they've become the bottleneck if that is an issue?
That is an issue
It is?
often,
Okay.
yes, and particularly in startups. I met a guy one time. I was at a healthcare sim, uh, I guess you call it a workshop. It was
Yeah.
2 weeks at
Okay.
UCLA School of Business,
Wow.
and they had people coming in from Harvard and from all over, and so they would talk about the different stages of the business. And there was a guy there, big belly on him. He's hiking up his pants all the time, and like the whole time. But he was brilliant. He'd done a book this big about the different phases that a business goes through. and you catch on something's, you find a product, you find a need, you find a niche, and it lights fire, right? It goes viral now, right? But not necessarily on the internet. It just really gets becoming, very profitable. So now you got chaos, and so you deal with chaos for a while, and that's one of the stages is the chaos. And sometimes people never really break out of that.
Right, they're just in constant chaos.
Yeah, and well over half the businesses fail. Some of them, some people will say 90%. Depends on how you count the numbers, right? But it's definitely over 50.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Wow.
And you know why they fail?
No.
It's not because of lack of drive. It's not because of enthusiasm. It's not because they picked the wrong niche. It's not because they run out of cash.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm doing this. It's taken off. It's really, really, people love it, but I don't have enough customers now to justify. I need more, or my costs are too high, or whatever. Not enough people realize that I'm better than everybody else, and while they're figuring that out, I run out of cash, and I got to close the doors. So we help them get that cash to help them get to the next.
And so do you encourage founders then to look for investments and to look for an investor? Is that the angle you go towards?
No, I encourage them to look at me as an investment.
Got it. Okay. I love it. Good.
And so I can help them. They've already invested in their business. Now let's invest in making the business more profitable. Make it spin out more money on the other end. Would say that if you meet somebody and you say, they lead with, well, I run a $30 million a year business, right? Which I've worked in $30 million a year businesses, and they're pretty proud of that. Well, what do you take home, right? Because dentists, did dentistry. I was in the top 2% of dentists nationwide, revenue-wise, while I was doing that. But they say that revenue feeds the ego, and profit feeds the family. So making that efficient, making sure our prices are set the way they should. Prices and cost are cutting cost, raising prices, cutting costs. Two areas where if you make a change, you're not making a change in your overhead, right? So you are in your overhead, but not in the overall cost of the business. It goes purely to the bottom line, purely to profit. So, like if I make a increase in market dominating position, I've still got to do all the things that I have to do. I have to pay people. Well, I'm already paying people in cutting costs or raising prices. That's why McDonald's raises its prices twice a year, right? And you think everybody's going to leave, but everybody doesn't leave. If you keep it reasonable and you evaluate the cost or the prices effectively on the front end, and because some people never raise their prices.
Right. When you talk about, let's go back to that chaos conversation really quick. And you're talking with founders and businesses who are in that chaos portion of their business. What are some tools that you give them to move forward, to take that next step out of the chaos? Like, what's the next step?
Well, the first step is probably evaluating where the chaos is and are we solving the right problem?
Right.
And prioritizing what we're working on. One of the things, the advantages of having a strategist alongside is that we have this tool. It's called a profit acceleration simulator, right? And it goes through. We go through a really deep assessment of how is the business performing in the 12 primary profit drivers in a business, and we've reverse engineered places like McDonald's and Amazon and various other really successful companies and what makes them successful. And it's these 12 primary areas. And we have strategies in each of those. But we look at the first thing I want to do when I go in a business is cover my salary, right? I don't want them to be paying me out of their current overhead. And we get out of that as quickly as possible. So we'll look at cutting costs, or we'll look at one of the areas, or raising prices, one of those things that says, okay, immediately we've now covered my salary and more. My goal is to always have the cost of hiring me and our company to be 5 to 10 times, or a fifth to a tenth of what the return is. It's quite a return on investment. There's not anything else that you can invest in that will bring you I mean, I guess there are some.
Yeah,
If
but
you
I
then
understand
get
your
sole
point.
interest in Tesla or
No,
something.
that's true. Well, and I love that you say that because I think a lot of people get kind of intimidated almost at making those changes, thinking back to what you said earlier, that people will leave, or
Right.
if you make drastic changes all at once, you'll make the team sour or something like that. So I love that you're taking a more strategic approach in the leadership side to say, here's just the reality of what we have to do first, and then you can tackle the big stuff later.
Right. And it all boils down to math.
Right.
So we look at something like that. Well, what if the customers leave? Well, we can run an analysis that says, okay, here's what you're going to get if we raise your prices. And in most cases, if you were going to lose money, if that was going to be a bad decision, you'd have to lose like 25% of your patients.
Oh,
Well, that's
wow.
not going to
It's
happen.
not, yeah.
So there's a lot of anxiety that if you back it up with research and facts and experience, which is if I have nothing else, it's a lot of experience. I've done a
Yeah.
lot of different things, and I've been in a lot of very difficult situations. Been through a hostile takeover, been through some like OSHA things that would
Wow.
take like a year to resolve.
Wow, wow.
We had a thing where in this big dental clinic,
Yeah.
um, one of the employees got pregnant and got concerned about nitrous oxide. What can we check the levels and see where everything is? Well, they were a little high.
Right.
Okay. So we go do our investigation of that. And the way they found out was they didn't say, can we check the levels? They called OSHA, right? So immediately, right off the bat, you got OSHA involved. And it took us 2 years, but we broke that down into, really studying what was having all this testing and everything done. And we'd redo the plumbing. It took a year and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to get, because they'd come, we'd do everything, we'd check, and everything looks great, and they'd come back. And what the eventual cause of it was
Right.
the resident would be seeing a patient, they'd finish, these little kids are all over the place, you get to the end, you're like, oh, we
Right.
made it, and then you take the nitrous oxide, you set it over here, but you don't turn it off.
Oh my
So that's
goodness.
where the slightly elevated levels were coming from, and a year and tens of thousands of dollars to figure that out. But so those things can bog you down so much. I've had a lot of experience in highly regulated um, organizations, and we break those things down. I use a project management software when that happens, and we just break it down and take it. How do
One
you eat
step
an
at a
elephant?
time.
One bite at a
One
time.
bite at a
Right?
time. Well, and I love, one of my favorite quotes is that data drives decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big data driven person. So I love that you base all of this stuff not only on your extensive experience, but also just on the research and the math. And numbers
Right.
don't lie at the end of the day,
Right.
you know?
Uh, I have access to over 1,000 business coaches across the country. Not
Wow.
across the country, across the world.
A world. You're
We get
global.
on
Yes.
calls, troubleshooting and just masterminding and things with people from Australia and England and just all over. It's a
Wow.
great opportunity. And we have this platform that's like an operating system that you plug into a business, and it uh, helps to deal with things like making things more efficient and things that are tried and true. You're not guessing as much. Not everything we do works.
Right.
So
But
you
you can
test
try
it
it.
first
Yeah.
on a small level, and then you roll it out. But it's much more efficient than doing it on your own. And that system that we have will help us using. There's some AI models built in. There's a lot of things built into it, but it's also judgment, right? Because
Right.
I can go to ChatGPT, I can ask it a question, and it gives me a wonderful answer. And I go, but what about this part of it that we didn't talk about? Oh, well, yeah, that's different. This won't work.
Right.
So if you don't ask the right questions in the front end and have another perspective on it, then it can be difficult.
It
The
can
other thing we
be.
provide is accountability.
Okay.
So
Walk us through that. What's it look like?
well, I typically meet with somebody 3 to 4 times a month, sometimes more often on the front end, and during that time that we're meeting everyone, it's just like an hour of the time. So it's not interrupting the flow. We're working on one thing at a time, and those have been prioritized with the system, and we just work our way through these different items without interrupting the business, without spending a lot of money on the marketing or advertising and things like that. So we have ways to address that. and we just work our way through.
No, that's so good. And
Did I answer your question?
No, you did. Well,
Okay.
you did. And I like to, you really tie it in because a lot of people have really are able to just kind of like spit out and regurgitate certain things, but you really tie it into how you're specific and how you work with those businesses specifically. And in the end, that they feel, my whole thing is like you go back to it and you feel confident in what you're doing, and you're also, though, not just fluffing people up. Like, I think that a lot of time, businesses, they're in desperate need for help, and they get the wrong help that can take advantage sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like they're here because, they're running out of money, and they're like, I want my business to thrive. I want my business to stay afloat because I'm so passionate about it. But at the end of the day, like, I still have to pay all my bills and I still have to provide for my family,
Right.
and you're able to tie that in to say,
Right.
we're going to really help you and not take advantage.
So, and we look at what an impact something's going to have on the money, but also the order it could be done. There's so many times that we get a founder who's being barraged with all different directions, and we
Right.
get the squirrel. They're working on something that's going well, and squirrel, what we need to change our messaging,
Right.
or we need to change our website, right? So you change the website and all new colors, all new, we add different elements, and then 6 months later, 3 months later, after it all gets polished, it's like, I don't think we have a real clear market dominating position. Maybe we should work on that. Well, now what do we have to do?
Right. You got to
You
do
gotta
it
go back
again.
and redo the
You got to
website.
redo it again.
So you get the market dominating position done. You look at an offer, which uses our conversion equation,
Right.
which is you got to interrupt, you got to engage, you got to educate, and then you got to do a compelling offer. So a lot of the advertising that's out there looks like a blown up business card. You go to a doctor's website and it's wonderful, glowing things about the doctor. Well, that's great if I want to know things about the doctor,
Right.
but I want to know how to solve my problem. So you get into the conversation that's in the head of the person that you're trying to get to access your services, and what are they looking for? We got time for an example?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Of
All
course.
right,
Please.
so daycare that turned out to be really good at educating the kids that they had. Right? So, but they weren't really communicating that, and it wasn't a part of the decision-making process when people coming in. So their compelling offer, their marketing dominating position was, when your child hits first grade, they'll be reading at a second grade level. And we'll make sure they do that, or your money back, or, or so that is an offer that you'd be crazy to go somewhere else. I mean,
Right.
who else does that, right? So
Right.
we look at things in your business and say, what is it that makes you different? And if you're not different enough, we look at it and say, what is it that could make you different? What could be the thing that makes them not go anywhere else? And
Right.
then you formulate that into that offer that's follows the conversion equation. Interrupt engage. Sorry,
Engage.
interrupt,
Yeah.
engage, educate, offer.
And go from
Work it
there.
into that kind of a thing that's really effective, and it does.
No, that's so good. And in your experience, when you consider different businesses you've worked with, what's the difference between a high revenue business and a highly profitable business? What's the difference?
I think a lot of it is, when I say systems,
Yeah.
I don't mean phone systems, I don't mean IT systems, I mean operating system. Have you really got a way to evaluate what you're doing and implement and prioritize and engage with the things that you need to be engaging with, instead of I use the example of the dentists who are really good I'll preface this
Yeah.
with, dentists are really good hand washers, but
As
when-
they should be, I hope.
yes, as they should be. A lot of time spent learning how to wash your hands. But when the toilet gets clogged in a dental office, who do you think unclogs it?
Probably the
The
dentist.
dentist. So they wind up with a lot of things that their training was not necessarily directed at, right? And not why I'm going to go into dentistry so I can change toilets, but they wind up or fix toilet,
Right.
but they wind up being involved with things that are below their level of education and level of really where they should be focused in order to get profit out of the business.
And what are some overlooked profit opportunities, that most businesses don't see as an opportunity?
Well, I mean, one of the simplest ones is raising prices because, and I
Are
don't
they
want to
really
focus.
that fearful? Or have you seen in your experience that people are that, or anxious maybe is the right word, to raise the
Well,
prices?
they're either anxious about it or they haven't thought about it.
Oh, okay.
You
Fair.
just prices been what they've been.
Right.
I'm so busy solving problems, and there's a process that you don't just
You're not just like, I'm
you
going to
know,
raise them.
okay, 13% on everything or
Right.
5% on everything. You got to go back and look at uh, where the value is and how your prices compare to others. In some cases, it is. Let's just raise them by 3%. I hadn't changed them in so long, and everybody else is higher. But is everybody else higher? So let's look at that
Yeah.
and see.
What do you say to founders who need to raise their prices? Okay, so they do that, but then they're concerned about still being affordable to people who might not be able to afford that raised price.
Right. Well, we look at there's half a dozen ways to answer that question. So we look at the way that they're. I'm sorry. Give me that again.
Well, so, okay, here, I'll use my example. I meet a lot of founders and business owners who are just so mission driven and they love it. Their heart and soul has been poured into this business, but they keep their prices the same because they're like, well, I want to be affordable for everybody, which is still a very fair point.
Right.
But if they need to raise their prices in order to stay afloat, how do you help a founder see the other side of that?
Well, what about your family? Are they important?
Right. Exactly.
you
So
know,
that's
what about-
that's what you put it back
What
to.
about you? Protect the missionary, right? Rule
Right.
1, protect the missionary.
Protect the missionary.
And when there's a mission, there's a missionary, whether it's Christian or not.
Right.
And you rule 1 in missions is protect the missionary because if you go down, then everything's so. And if you're not loving your business, if you're not whether it's for profit or not for profit, if you're so frustrated every time you go to work that you dread getting up, you get up and go, oh, I got to go to work again, or oh, what am I going to tackle today? It's a huge difference. And so the other thing is to go through an analysis and,
Right.
and really look at the math side of it.
Point it
and
back
say,
to data. Point
Right.
it back to data.
Right.
I love that you say that. So, what's one piece of advice that you would give to every entrepreneur listening today?
Don't make decisions too quickly,
Okay.
but don't sit on them either. I think a lot of people do the squirrel thing.
Right.
Figure out a plan and do something.
And do something.
You got to evaluate it first,
Yeah.
but be efficient about that evaluation and figure out what your best option is. If you need some help, I'll help you
You'll
figure
be
that out.
on there, yeah.
But figure out what your best option is and move forward. And the other thing is, when we had the hostile takeover.
Yeah, I was going to circle back to this. Can you share more about this story, or is it top secret?
Oh, it's not top secret. It is a long story.
Yeah.
And
Well, we got some time. Tell me a little bit, because I think this will be really interesting for people to hear.
so you have your hard and fast rules, right?
Yep.
One of our hard and fast rules was we would never sign a personal guarantee on anything, copier, anything. If we couldn't pay for it, or if they had to have a personal guarantee, we'd go somewhere else, or we'd use we'd save up the money and pay for it. We'd just use the one we had for a while longer, and so we never put any of our assets at risk. Well, when you got 250 kids on a waiting list for 2 years to have procedures done, we just said, okay, we're just going to do this. And so we put everything on the line. And we built this surgery center from scratch. The reimbursement changed, the environment changed, the players in our main business changed CEOs and went from one that was very friendly to one that was very hostile.
Oof.
And it became a really rough environment to survive. And we were going to staff it with residents the day after that we signed the $1 million note to build the thing. The guy that was directing the residents came and said, I've changed my mind. I don't want to let the residents go over there and work. So we had to hire five pediatric dentists at the same time at $220,000 each.
Oh,
And
wow.
but we still did well for like the first year and a half. And then as things got more stressful, we wound up having to shut that down. You'd have, because these dentists were young,
Right.
right? So they'd be turning away people that a more experienced person wouldn't turn away.
Right.
And and it's the day of surgery, and you're paying $1,000 a day for $2,000 a day for the anesthesiologist, $1,000. We had 3 operating rooms. It was quite a thing, and but it failed, and so
Yes.
we didn't file bankruptcy at that time. Put everything, tried to carry it back in the other nonprofit business,
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't hold up.
Wow.
So we came to a point where we had made the decision to shut it down. That's a place that we should have acted sooner,
Okay.
and we were ready to shut it down on Monday, and on Saturday they worked out a business deal with the bank, came in and locked the doors, took the equipment, took the money that we were going to use for payroll out of the bank, right? So all those people wound up with missing a paycheck, and it was a mess. It was a
Wow.
mess. So after that, it was like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And so I went back and at 50, middle 50s, went back and did uh, horticulture school. I bought a lawnmower, went back to
Wow.
what I was doing as a kid.
Yeah.
And I had a business card that had my name. It was a white card, my name and my phone number. It said, I mow yards. And then I started doing brush clearing and
Wow.
went to horticulture school while I was building the business, and built a little landscape business. I had all the herbicide and all the pesticide, all those kind of things.
All the things.
And just did something totally different for 6 years, and then got back into running a $30 million a year, or doing operations for $30 million a year telemedicine company.
Well, talk about the fact that you really think on your feet and you've been able to take the challenges and totally switch and still land on top. I think that's just an incredible testament to your character and your hard work, because most people would have been like, all right, I'm hanging up my hat here and I'm good.
Well, there's people that do more than hang up their hat.
Yeah.
There's people that, just end it.
Right.
And so another thing that I would offer free,
Yeah.
if somebody's having struggles with the emotional side of what they're going through, whether it's a big tax issue or the business is failing and things like that, and it may not even be about saving the business anymore. It's about what do I do?
Right.
I'm not a mental health therapist or anything
Right.
like that, but I've been through it. And one of the things that they mentioned, you asked about what you would advise people. I've heard about that, by the way, as a long-term solution to a short-term problem, right?
Very
And
true.
they don't seem like they're short-term at the time, but they always are, and you always get through them. After the hostile takeover, it took me a year to get my
Right.
energy back,
Right.
to get my drive back. And it was like survival until then. So you survive,
You
and
do.
you just do what you need to do, and then you come out of it on the other end, and you know more than you knew when you went into it.
Right.
So
I think when people look back on some challenges that they've had, like in the moment, in the moment, I think this can be said for everyone's experiences. In the moment, you just wish it was over. In the moment, you're like, what the heck did I do to even be in this situation? Like at least for me, I'm a constant overthinker, and I'm like, how in the world did I get to this position? So I'm playing back my 10 steps before this. But sometimes you just get in a situation that you're like, all right, well, I got to get out. And once you are out, it's like, okay, what can I do better next time?
right,
And I think at the end of the day, that really tells a lot about you as a person, because either you're the person that gets up and keeps going, or you don't, and
right.
you kind of fall.
Well, there's no quit in me for sure.
That's true. I can tell. I like it. I love it. I love it. Well, so as we look ahead, to the next decade, so now let's look into the future. What excites you most about the future of entrepreneurship?
Uh, I am really excited about engaging with different businesses, different types. I've done a lot of healthcare, but I've done, landscape, a lot of different things. So just helping people get to their potential and helping them get out of the stress that comes from not being able to pay the bills. They may have a lot of money at work,
Right.
and they're buying fancy things at work, and they're, things that look good when people walk in and things like that. But the two rules we have for that is does it help you get a client, or does it help you keep a client? If not, we have to look closely at it, because the rest goes home
Right.
in a lot of businesses. And so let's get them some time to have experiences, good stories and good experiences with their families, not just with their business.
No, I love that.
And so seeing the way that will be impacting people's lives, that's what I look forward to in the future.
No, that's so good. Well, as we wrap up, because that flew by. I told you it was going to be quick.
It did.
I always end my interviews with some rapid fire questions, and they're
I'm
fun.
ready.
Okay,
Hit
so
me.
don't worry. Coffee or tea? What's your go-to order in the morning?
My go-to order in the morning is a water with, I don't know if you say Mio or Mayo, but with the flavor.
Oh, the drops. Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
of energy drops in that.
Those are
That's
good.
what I do. My dad told me I'd never make it through dental school without starting coffee. And the only time coffee has even smelled good to me was in Ethiopia, when everything else kind of smelled.
Yes,
not
there
so
you
good.
go. I love it. I love it. What is your favorite hidden gem in Palm Beach or West Palm?
Like mostly restaurant-wise,
Or
food-wise?
whatever
Well,
you prefer. Some people.
food-wise, I will tell you, if you heard the song about Tom's Diner,
No.
it's a great song. But Tom's Kitchen,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where is that?
It's same place I sleep.
Okay. Yo,
I-
you. You're so funny.
I love to cook.
You love to cook.
And I love like going offshore, catch a tuna, bring it home and make my own poke bowls. It's something you can throw together in 10 minutes, and it's just better
love
than what you
this.
get in the restaurant. So
I feel like you're really hard to go out to eat with then, because
no, limoncello. I like a good restaurant
Okay.
too. Limoncello
Limoncello
is
is
a
good.
good one. I like. I've never met a menu I don't like.
That's true. Well, if you're a big fish guy, do you love Captain Charlie's Reef Grill?
Oh,
You-
now I'm learning something.
Listen, you need to go. It's in Juneau. It's my
Okay.
favorite restaurant. It's above Food Shack. It's above Leftovers. All those really great fish spots. But Captain Charlie's is in Juneau, next to the old gas station. And you
Yeah,
have
there's
to
a
go.
little place, I can't think of the name of it now, which is really hidden. It's in the Junos. That may be it.
Is it?
It's in the back of a little kind of strip
Yep,
mall.
that's it. That's
I know
Captain
that
Charlie's.
place. You're right. You're right.
It's
yeah.
so good. It's the
great.
best.
It's like you're right there by these, the open
You are.
kitchen. I love it.
Yep.
It's
And you
great.
watch them. You watch them cook it and everything. It's the
like,
best.
Don't tell anybody.
I know, yeah. Well, it's so now it's off season, so you can actually get a table and not have to wait an hour. So it's just so nice. What is one book that changed your life?
Well, obviously, the Bible, and then I can't remember the name of it, but it was the lean management stuff.
Okay.
When I was in Chicago, we had all these complicated problems, and I took lean management principles and basically dumbed them down
Good.
to, okay, now how do we use this? Because I don't want to be Six Sigma. I don't want to be,
Right.
how do we practically do that? And we went from a little small 5,500 square foot building to a 21,000 square foot building in one with so now we got multiple practices here. We got dentistry, we got OBGYN delivering 30 babies a month, and all this kind of, so making that jump was quite a challenge, and those lean principles really helped me.
that's
There's
good.
a lot of stories for that.
I love it. No, we'll have you back on. And then my final question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give your younger self as you navigate the workplace?
Don't be intimidated.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Tom.
Just do it.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on your Palm Beach Guide.
All right. Thank you. It was great to be here.